and let's start. أول حاجة عندي question number 7. هو بيقول لي what is the positive solution to the given equation. Solution to an equation يعني the missing variable. Find the value of x mainly. So they'd like you to find x. How can we do so? لما يكون عندي fraction equals number كده, this thing كل ال denominator ده هيروح to the other side by multiplication. So this means المفروض يكون عندي 55 equals x and then bracket x plus 6. You'll then distribute the x, which will then give you 55 equals x squared plus 6x. Because there's x squared and x to the power of 1, this is quadratic, so I'll move the 55 to the other side. I'll put everything on one side and then make it equals to 0. This is how the quadratic function should look like. Because this is quadratic, you can solve it using the calculator with mode 5-3. Mode 5-3 will give you x1 and x2. One of them is positive and the other one is negative. Because they're asking for what is the positive value, so then I'll only take the positive value of those. The answers هتبقى 5, 11 positive, so negative 11 and positive 5. So I'll take the positive 5 and I'll disregard the negative 1. Make sense?
I did not do all of that.
So what did you do?
I just added 5 with 6, and what gives me 11, and then 11 over 55 is 5.
يعني you've tried.
Common sense. I didn't do all of that.
That's بالظبط يا رقية my point. In the common sense that it took a toll on your brain. It took you some time to try to figure out what is this thing about. Is it 5? Is it 6? And then you think, so it becomes tiring.
Master?
Yes.
So because it was 55 equal x squared plus 6, that's like a linear function, yeah?
Yeah, plus 6x. No, it's not linear. It's x to the power of 2 now, so that's quadratic.
It's a quadratic function. Yeah. So we made it linear, so we can use
We did
mode
not.
5-3.
No. Actually, mode 5-3 only works on quadratic functions. So
No, mister. Like, when we move the 55 to the right and we put equal 0, what's it called, like this equation?
This is the quadratic standard form, اللي هي the one that actually goes. This is the only one that we can write on the calculator, اللي هي ax squared plus bx plus c. So in order for you to put it on mode 5-3, it needs to follow this form, and that's why I decided to move the 55 to the other side so that it becomes into this form.
Yeah, I get it.
Perfect. طيب, moving to number 12. An object is kicked from a platform. The equation كذا represents this situation, where h is the height. That's the important thing to notice. Every letter, what does it represent? H is the height, t is the seconds. Which number represents the height from which the object was kicked? So from which the object was kicked, I'm looking for the start of this whole thing. I'm looking for the beginning, when it first began. I'm looking for what represents before anything happens, like the very beginning. All of those are keywords for the y-intercept. So the keywords of the y-intercept in here, it's the start, it's the beginning, the thing that you started with. Oh, in other words, it is the place. If I'm asking you about the height when it was kicked at the very beginning, then it's as if I'm asking you where t was equals to 0. 0 seconds have passed. What was the height? All of those things represent the y-intercept. All of those are hints for the y-intercept. So what is the y-intercept of this equation? It's the 9 على طول. It's the number that doesn't have any variables. It makes sense? If you do not think... I'm sorry?
I got it right.
Perfect. Even if you do not think about it in terms of y-intercept and so on, just substitute the t with 0 and it should get you the answer still as 9.
I just looked for the number that didn't have any
letters. True.
Variables.
Perfect. Type. Moving on. Number 13. You've been given already a quadratic function. Now you're asked, for what value of x does f of x reach its minimum? So, do you remember when we discussed linear equations, y equals mx plus b and ax plus by equals c? Those are the forms. And we said whenever we think of linear, we think of slope. And we were able to figure out the slope here and the slope there. The slope here would be the number next to the x. And in this case, the slope would be negative a over b. These are things we've discussed regarding linear. Now, if we're talking about quadratic, the most important thing in quadratic functions is the vertex. And the vertex could be found out of the different forms of the quadratic equation. One of them is this, the standard form. There's also another one that's actually called the vertex form that goes like this. And there's a third one that is called the factor form that goes with two brackets, not just one bracket or no brackets. So in all three cases, you need to be able to figure out the vertex, because the vertex is the most important thing in a quadratic function. In this form, the standard form, in order to find the vertex, you'll get first the x of the vertex, but using negative b over 2a. That needs to be memorized. And in order to get the y, we get f of negative b over 2a. Let me show you an example. Imagine if I have x squared minus 6x plus 8, and I'd like to get the vertex of this form. You'll have to do negative b, which is negative 6 over 2a, which is 1. That would get you 3. This 3 is the x of the vertex. I still need to find the y, which is f of 3. يعني ايه f of 3? يعني I'll substitute instead of each x the 3 that I got into the first from the first step, and that would get you negative 1. So then the vertex is 3 and negative 1. Does that make sense to you?
Kind of, yeah.
Now, why is the vertex important? The vertex is important because the vertex, as we said, has two values, x and y. The x of the vertex represents something called the axis of symmetry, which is a line, a vertical line, that splits any parabola into two equal parts. This dotted line is the axis of symmetry, while the y represents either the maximum or the minimum value of the function. So whenever the word maximum or minimum is mentioned into the question of a quadratic equation, you'll be right away thinking of the y of the vertex. The minimum value of the function is the y of the vertex. Now in this question, they're asking you, for what value of x does f of x reach its minimum? Yani, in other words, they're asking you, what was the x value when y was at its minimum? Yani, they're asking you about the x of the vertex. That's all. So how can I find the x of the vertex from this form? I'll just use negative b over 2a. So it's negative b, which is negative 50, over 2a, which is 4. You'll put this as 50 over 8 on a calculator, and it should get you the answer as, I think it's 6.75, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, can we just graph this on a graphing calculator?
Do you have a graphing calculator, sir?
Sadly, yes.
Type. So
Wait, can I
you can, but برضه let me be honestly clear. يعني in order for you to go through the steps of graphing, it's much longer than just doing the negative b over 2a on a calculator.
The thing is, because it's online, so they already give you a graphing calculator. You already have all of that.
Yes, but then again, still, the idea of you graphing a function takes even longer number of clicks than finding negative b over 2a. So you need to be able to find negative b over 2a. And keep in mind, Yaruru, this entire test was created trying as much as possible for students not to use a calculator in any question whatsoever. يعني all those questions could be solved without a calculator at all.
Yeah.
So انت keep in mind ان the calculator برضو المفروض يبقى used ليه؟ هو مديك calculator ليه؟ To save time whenever needed. So if your calculator thing will take longer time than whatever other option, then it's not the right thing to do. So again, let me بس recap كده. Whenever we're mentioning maximum or minimum, this means we're talking about the y of the vertex. Whenever this word maximum or minimum of a quadratic equation is mentioned, we're thinking of the y of the vertex. Whenever the word axis of symmetry is mentioned, we're thinking of the x of the vertex. Sometimes in the question, they'll ask you, what is the maximum value itself, or what is the minimum value itself of the function? And some other times, they'll ask you, what is the value of x when f of x was at its minimum, or when f of x was at its maximum. In this case, we're talking about the x value of the vertex. Because we've already discussed those forms, I'd like you to know that this form here, the one that has a bracket x minus h all squared and so on, it's called the vertex form because the vertex here is just this number inside the bracket with the opposite sign and this number outside the bracket with the same sign. And to just give you a better example, let's say we have 3 bracket x minus 2 all to the power of 2 plus 4. The vertex here is positive 2 and positive 4. This number with the opposite sign, this number with the same sign. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Mister?
Yes, ya Habib.
So it's minus a over 2b?
Yep.
Alright.
No, I'm sorry. It's the other way around. Negative b over 2a. Ahí.
Oh, so the slope is minus a over b.
Yes, exactly.
The vertex is minus b over
2a, yes. The negative a over b اللي هي written up here, this goes for the slope, not the, yeah, perfect. It's actually good that you mentioned that لأنه the a and the b are repeated هنا وهنا, it becomes a bit confusing. طيب. Let's move to 14. A small business owner budgets 2,200 to purchase candles. The owner must purchase a minimum of 200 candles to maintain the discounted price. If the owner pays $4.9 per candle to purchase small candles and $11.6 per candle to purchase large candles, what is the maximum number of large candles the owner can purchase to stay within the budget and maintain the discounted price? So, in those types of questions, ايه هم التايبس؟ اقصد ايه بالtype of questions اللي هو whenever you have two different givens, two different pieces of information that are important. أولا, there are two types of candles as they've mentioned. One that says it's a small candle and the other one is the large candles. I like to put them in columns. So everything regarding the small candles will be put under S. Everything regarding the large candles will be put under L. If there's something that doesn't go under one of them specifically, I'll write it on the side. So first of all, they say that the $4.9 goes for the small candle. So under the S, I'll put the $4.9. And then for the large, it's 11.6. So under that, I'll put the 11.6 and then the dollar sign. I'd like to use the dollar signs to remember, and this is the units for that number. And then apparently there's another dollar sign here that goes for the 2,200. But as they said earlier, it's the budget to purchase all different types of candles. So it doesn't go under the small nor under the large. It's separate. It's out here, $2,200. Apparently that's for the total number of candles. And there's also another value given, which is this 200, and that's the number of candles, برضو total. So it goes under the total. But it's not dollars, it's the number, هو عدد. So what do we do now? We're going to think, I'll take this dollar amount, اللي هو 4.9, times the number of small candles that I don't know, which is just S, plus 11.6, this other dollar amount, times L, which is the number of large candles that I don't know, should give me a total of $2,200 as they said, because these are all the dollars with each other. On the other hand, S, which is the number of small candles, plus the number of large candles, should give me the total of candles, which is 200. Now you'll use those two equations and go for a calculator and use mode 5.1. This is what we call a system of equations. on the system of equations or on your calculators, you'll write only the coefficients: 4.9, 11.6, 2200, 1, 1, 200. It would get you the values of x and y اللي هم representing S and L. So it would get you the first letter and then the next letter. Because they're asking what is the maximum number of large candles, so I'll only pick this value of L, but not the value of the S.
Mister, the call's about to end.
Yalla, let's head to the other link. يا حبيبي كله حلو؟ ماشي هخلص واكلمك. لولو كله تمام؟
I did on the calculator with me x equal to 17.9 and y equals to 182.0.
182?
Yeah.
Okay.
0.08.
So I wouldn't take the decimal because the maximum would be the 182. Let me بس wait for Muhammad to do. المشكلة إن أنا ما عنديش وقت وعايز ألحق أخلص معاكم قبل ما أبتدي الكلاس اللي جاي.
Mister, for the one that you're on, number 17, is it B?
I honestly don't know what is the length of arc QR. QR is this one. This is four twice the length. Let me solve it. I can't tell كده by look.
When we go there,
مهند حبيبي خلاص you got number 14 دي. You get the whole idea of it.
I'm trying the mode 5.3 thing.
No, remember it's mode 5.1 now because it's
mode 5.1
linear. So, but you get where how did we create the two equations themselves? That's the important part.
Okay, listen. When I do mode 5.1, it gives me like 4 other options. Do I press 1 again?
لا, it should be mode 5 and then 1. It would right away open this form of like spaces for A, then B, then C, and then again A, B, C. It would show you something like brackets كده on a calculator, on the calculator, and it would be called كده.
My brother took like my black calculator, so I'm using this.
So okay, so I'll tell you what to do. Look for, I will click on mode first. You should be.
Can you open like those Google calculators?
Yes, but listen بس to me في الحتة دي because it actually it has a menu. So I'd like you best to read me the menu that you have because every calculator is different in that part, every version of it. So
yeah, I have like the old one.
Good. So just to click on mode and tell me which option says or has the letters E, Q,
okay.
U.
When I do mode 5, like I haven't pressed 1, it gives me 2 options.
No, just mode best, not mode 5.
Mode? Okay. So 1 is comp.
Okay.
3 is EQN.
Yes, that's the one. So in your calculator, in this case, you'll click mode 3.1, not mode 5.1. In this calculator.
Yeah. So now it gives me like
brackets كده, like
1 over 2A bracket, then B00 bracket, like C.
Yeah. That's the one. So you're just going to write in those the values that we've highlighted in yellow. So you're going to write 4.9, then click equal, and then go for the B, write 11.6, and then equal. It would take you for the C, you'll write 2200, and then equal. It would take you for the new A, which is 1, the new B, which is 1, and then the new C, which is 200. And then you click equal once, it would give you S. You click equal again, it would give you L.
What? You click once, it gives me
The first
S.
letter يعني, and then you click one more time, it will give you the next letter.
Yeah, it gave me Y and X.
أيوة, X is the first letter and Y is the second letter, because here the question did not use S, X and Y, it used S and L. So we're using the same, or you're using the tool of the calculator, no matter what are the names of the letters. Yes, حبيبي. قول.
So it gave 17 and 182.
So because they're asking for the large, and I know that the large is L, which is the second variable, not the first one, then I took the 182, but I did not take the other one, the 17. Because they're asking about the maximum number of large candles you can get, which would be the 182, without the decimal though, come in.
Yeah.
Make sense?
So the large is Y, yeah? The second number.
Yes, because we've used the S first and then L, and the calculator used the X first and then Y. So the X goes for the S and so on. Faham?
Yeah.
Perfect. 17 back. You're given this circle and you're told that the circumference is 144 pi. Before I move to anything else, let's remember what is the rule of the circumference and write it. Because you'll write also always whatever you know about the givens. You'll know that the circumference is supposed to be 2 pi r, and it's equals to 144 pi. You can cross this pi with this pi, which then gives you that 2r is equals to 144, which also gives you that this r is equals to 72, اللي هو 144 divided by 2. All of this I got before reading the rest of the question, which gives me that this r, اللي هو الراديوس اللي هنا ده, is 72, and this one is 72, and so on. So I know that the radius is 72. These are the radii of the circle. Then you're told that the length of arc PS is twice the length of arc PQ. So you go to look at it, and apparently PS, اللي هو this arc, is twice the length of the PQ arc, which is this arc. وأكيد كده كده الارc PQ ده is equals to SR, لأن هما across each other and they're looking over each other, so they're vertical, so they're equal. The same thing goes for this arc مثلا. RQ is equivalent to this other one. And again, they said that the yellow one, the one that we highlighted, is twice the other one, which means if this is X, this would be 2X. If this is X, this would be 2X. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So now I have X plus 2X plus X plus 2X. All of those should give me the same circumference that I've got. اللي هو قد إيه؟ اللي هو 144 pi. If I added all of those, that's the circumference. So X plus 2X plus X and so on, those are 6X equals 144 pi. If I'd like to find the X became, I'll just divide by 6. So 144 pi divided by 6. That would get me X equals, let me calculate that. $24 pi. So this is 24 pi. This is X. Apparently they're asking me for QR. QR is 2X. So in order to get QR, I'll just do 2 times 24 pi, which is 48 pi. That's B. Does that make sense? Apparently على فكرة موضوع الR اللي أنا عملته هنا ده مثلا ما كانش needed خالص في الكيس دي. بس أنا I did it before because I read it. Let's do it. Does that make sense?
Mr. What I did is I thought of, like, can you go up please?
Yeah.
If the circumference itself is 144, then what's it called? Then what's it called? The half of it, or like half the circle, is gonna have to be 72.
So you divided that by 3.
QR is smaller than 72. So that's what I did. I was like, it makes sense if it's 48.
Again, you see, Ruru, Wallah, that's my point. I know you're smart enough to figure it out. I know that for a fact. I know أنا بتكلم عليكي أنت personally، وعلى فكرة مهند برضو نفس الكلام. وبصراحة to be honest، هو most of the students اللي شوية تعلموا حلو, they should have this talent of trying to دايما look for like what's the common sense, how can I quickly figure this one out. Yes يا حبيبي.
I would have probably just guessed 48 because 72 is
يا
very big and
حبايبي
48
I
seems like
get it
goes in the
والله
middle,
I
so I'd
get it.
probably guess 48.
All of that is you trying to figure out how to tackle this problem without actually tackling the question itself. So all of these issues are you trying to figure out the quickest, easiest, fastest without going into trying to solve the point that you're supposed to be questioned on, which is perfect, and that's a very normal. That's what we expect from all students. I myself used to do the same thing, but by time I realized that this, on the time factor specifically, it has a huge effect. And not just the time, it also has a huge effect when it comes to you feeling tired كده by the end of 10 questions. بس مش حتى هنكمل ال 20. So I realized by time and by repetition and by solving and the following steps makes things less hectic on mind. يعني most of the time وانا بشرح as a teacher اهو بيبقى question اول مره اشوفه امتحان بطلعه حلو زيكم كاني دخلت الامتحان. فانا do you think it's easier for me ان انا ابص واحاول اطلعها بسرعه؟ لا، it's harder. It's easier ان انا ابتدي اكتب الستبس كده على طول لان I don't think about those things. انا بgo with steps what I see in front of me. It's like discoveries and whatever. مثلا بالتايمز يروح الناحيه الثانيه بالديفيجن and so on. انت ايه ده لقيت x، ايه ده لقيت circumference، ايه ده لقيت كذا. It's like discoveries and that's even faster than me trying to figure out the fastest way mentally. بس so I get قوي what you're doing. I'm not saying it's wrong. In the test you do that. I get that. بس no برضو إنه this will sometime at some point take it all on you. So balance that. Sometimes مثلا do it mentally. Other times try to solve. Do something that suits you بقى. But you understand both methods. You understand the pros and cons.
Like you can't win them all. Like you won't get it right every time you guess.
ونوت جاست ده بقول لك ده مش بس مشكلتك انك ما تجسش رايت. انا بخاف من ان الفيلينج اوف جيتنج فعلا. انا بحس بصداع في دماغي when I do what you're trying to do. يعني بجد I'm not joking. انا بحس ان في حد دايس على راسي من الجنبين لما بقعد افكر كتير قوي في ارقام mentally without writing them down وبتاع. فده اللي انا بقلق منه. Anyway 19 quickly. يا نهار اسود، انا لازم ابعت للجروب. معلش يا حبايبي ثانية عشان لازم اقول للعيال التانية الكلاس الجاي انا هتأخر 10 minutes كده. All right, quickly, let's get back. So you're given here that this function is defined by 4x plus 28. The graph of this has an x-intercept at a and 0, the y-intercept at 0 and b, where a and b are constants. What is the value of a plus b? So what you're going to do is the following. Those are points given. So this point is supposed to be on that line, and that's supposed to be an x, and that's y. So I'll substitute. I'll put instead of the xa, and that should give me equals to 0, which means ايه ده انا بقى عندي equation. طب ما I can find a. I'll move 28 to the other side, and it would become negative 28, and then a is equals to negative 28 divided by 4, which gives me إنه a is equals to negative 7. The same thing I can do over here. When x is equals to 0, y was equals to b. So I'll substitute 4 times 0 plus 28. That is equals to b, which gives me no 28 is equals to b. I have a and I have b. That's it. I'll throw them here. So 28 plus negative 7 and over a plus b, that's 21. You see discoveries. هو ده الجميل في الموضوع.
Yeah, makes sense now. It's like kind of logical.
أيوة. Number 20. One of the factors is x plus b, where b is a positive constant. What is the smallest value of b? So what does that mean? I need to know what is the smallest factor of this. What are the factors? The factors are basically, it's like factorization. عشان كده اسمها factorization أصلا. اللي هو you trying to find the x values. So here's what we do. There are two ways to do this. If it's x to the power of 3, we can actually do it on a calculator برضو. Mod 5 3 gets me the zeros of the quadratic equations اللي هم x to the power of 2. بس mod 5 4 gets me the factors or zeros of the x to the power of 3. So in this case, because this is x to the power of 3, you should be using mode 54. That's one method. If you don't know that, the other thing to do is to take x as a common factor, because it's common between all three of them, and open a bracket. You'll be left with 2x squared plus 42x plus 208. And that is a normal quadratic equation. That could be done easily on a calculator mode 53. And it would get you 2x values. So 1x is this, x equals 0 على فكرة. لما تبقى x لوحدها كده, this means in x equals 0. The other two x's are the ones that I get out of mode 53 from this one. So mode 53 should get you...
So we take the positive value, yeah?
Yeah, but the smallest one كمان, مش بس the positive. So this one is negative 13 and the other one, they're both negative, by the way. But
so negative 8.
Exactly. So then what would be the value of b? It would be positive 8 because the factors are written as x plus 8. And this one is x plus 13 and this one is just x because it's a 0. Those kida are the factors. But these are called the zeros. These are called the roots. These are called the x-intercepts. If they're put with the opposite signs and brackets, they're now called factors. This is y, you're given y already, negative 1.5. So substitute right away before you read anything else. Here's negative 1.5 equals x squared plus 8x plus a. Now let's read. They say if this in the given system of equations, a is a positive constant, the system has exactly one distinct real solution. Whenever something describes the number of solutions, whether they're one or no solutions or two solutions, the number of solutions, then we're thinking of the discriminant. Discriminant is this b power 2 minus 4ac. If it came out as a positive number, this means we have two roots, two solutions. If it came out as a 0, it means we have only one root, one solution. But if it came out as a negative, it means there are no real roots. There are only imaginary roots. Because they said that this has exactly one distinct real solution, it means when I calculate here in this function, the b power 2 minus 4ac, it should be equals to 0 because that's the one that has one real solution. So first I'll have to move this to the other side because it needs to be all equals to 0. 8x plus a plus 1.5 all equals to 0. And now I'll start identifying a, b, and c. A in this question is equals to 1, b is 8, now c is the tricky one. C is a plus 1.5. All of this is c. So when you try to put this into the discriminant rule, it would become b power 2, 8 power 2 minus 4a, which is 1, and c, which is a plus 1.5. 8 power 2 would become 64 minus 4 times a plus 1.5. The 4 will be distributed, which will get you 64 minus 4a. Negative 4 times 1.5 is negative 6. All of this is supposed to be equals to 0 because they said it has only one root. Now I can find a. 64 minus 6 would get me 58. So negative 4a plus 58 equals to 0. I'll move 58 to the other side. Negative 4a is equals to negative 58. I'll divide by negative 4. So 58 divided by 4, which is 14.5. This is now when things are becoming harder. This is a linear equation, and you're told that this is the graph of f of x plus 14. يعني إيه؟ يعني this is the graph of one function, and then it was added عليها 14. يعني it moved up 14. They're asking you which equation defines function f مش y. عايز f الأصل كان إيه. So let's find the equation of this الأول. What's the equation of this one? In order to find the equation, we get the slope. The slope would be rise over run, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Or you can just count them. It is clear that the rise is 2 and that the run here is 8. And because it crosses the Nike sign, that's a negative slope. So it's negative 2 over 8, which is negative 1 over 4. That is the slope. Now, with regards to the y-intercept, it's pretty clear that it cuts the y-axis here at 2, so this is the y-intercept. So I can write the equation as y equals negative 1 over 4x plus 2. This is this function. Because this is already moved up 14, if I'd like to get the original one, I'll move it down 14. I'll subtract 14, exactly. So 2 minus 14 would become negative 12. When you look at the choices, it's definitely
that's the answer.
Perfect.
Oh, this one was tricky.
But it's nice, بصراحة.
Yeah.
طيب. 25. RS is equals to 20. The side lengths of a right triangle RST. So there's this right triangle called RST. RS is 20, 48, and 52. The biggest side out of these three is definitely the hypotenuse.
The hypotenuse 52.
So this is the 52, which means I could call this one T and this one R, which means S is definitely the one that has the 90 degrees, which then gives me that RS is 20. This is the one that's 20, and this is the one that's 48. They're asking what is, they're saying it's similar to this triangle UVW, which means R is the same as U, and S is the same as V, and T is the same as W. Yani this other new triangle, the similar one, should have U here, V here, and W there. They're asking you, what is the value of tan W? Tan W is the same as tan T. What's the tan of T? Tan of anything is supposed to be equals to the opposite over the adjacent. So the opposite to T is the 20 over the adjacent.
We're using that SOHCAHTOA
yes, exactly.
formula thing.
Yes. So that's how you know tan has opposite over adjacent, because it is supposed to be TOA. T equals opposite over adjacent. And 20 over 48 on a calculator would be simplified to 5 over 12, which is B. 26. 1 gallon of paint will cover 220 square foot. So I'll put here gallons, feet. Apparently, 1 gallon they cover 220 feet. That's how I write them before I read the rest. A room has a total wall area of W square feet. Which equation represents the total amount of paint in gallons needed to paint the walls of the room twice? So let's figure out if 1 gallon covers 220, then the W square feet would need how many gallons? I'll cross multiply. So it would become W times 1 over 220. This is the amount needed for one room. If I needed to paint it twice, so I'll multiply this by 2, which will become 2W over 220. Now 2W over 220 could be simplified because 2 over 220 is 1 over 110. So it could be written as W over 110. This is choice A. P equals W over 110. The number A is 110% greater than the number B. A is, يعني A equals 110% greater than B. يعني if B was 100%, I'll add عليهم 110%. يعني it would become 210%. So A is equivalent to 210% times B. And the number B itself is, يعني equals 90% less than 47. يعني لو 47 itself is the 100%, I'll subtract 90%. يعني I need 10% of the 47. So B is equals to 10% times the 47, which is 4.7. طيب, if I know that B is 4.7, I can now substitute this B over here. And then I'll know that A is supposed to be 20% times the 4.7. On a calculator, you'll just do 20% times 4.7, and it would get you 0.94. Does that make sense?
Can I ask why you did 20?
This is
Please.
the answer.
ايه يا حبيبتي تاني قولي.
Why'd you put 20%?
ايه ده 210؟ انا مش عارف انا ليه عملت 20%. لا انا غلطت. That's not
Mister, isn't the answer like 52.3?
ايوه it's supposed to be 210%. انا عملتها 20%. Let me calculate 210% times 4.7. It's 9.87.
Okay, makes more sense. I got confused. I was like, did I miss a step?
ايوه فاهم. بص, so let's quickly كده go through what happened. A is 110% greater than the number B. So A, whatever it is equals to 110% plus 110% of B, يعني times B plus ال B نفسها. يعني هزود على ال B 110% منها. So that's the first sentence. The second sentence is that B is 90% less than the 47. So B is يعني equals 90% less than the 47. يعني 47 وهشيل منها 90% of the 47 برضو itself. That would get you that B is equals to 4.7. Once you have the B, you can substitute it here and there. So A will be equals to 110% على الكالكوليتر times 4.7 plus 4.7, which will become 9.87. فاهم شوية ولا لا؟
Mister, one final question. Can you go to 25?
Of course. Yep.
Mister, when we draw the triangle, can we do it randomly?
Can we do it randomly?
Like for example, can we do like I know we're supposed to write R at this, like see how I drew it on the first triangle, like S is at the bottom left and T is at the top and R is at the bottom right. Can we, like for example, it can be in any order or it has to be like this?
The important thing is S. The important thing is keeping in mind that S is supposed to be where the 90 degree is. That's what matters. How can you know that? Or how did we know أصلا القصة
S
دي?
is supposed to be where the 90 degree is.
Yes, because you identified at the beginning that the hypotenuse is TR, correct?
Yeah.
Because TR is the biggest, 52 is the biggest among the three of them, صح?
Oh yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
So that's how we figured out بقى إن that
Yeah,
means إنه S must be the 90 degrees. مش مهم بقى the T فين
we
والR
put
فين.
the R first.
You put the A, sorry?
We put TR first.
Yes, and that's because
TR makes the most sense.
Exactly, because we've set the TR first, we were able to figure out بقى where are the other two, and it wouldn't matter, by the way, if you put R first and then T down ولا T first and then R down. فاهم؟ بس.
So the adjacent and the opposite don't matter.
Yeah.
Either way worked.
Because yes, because if you put the T down, then the opposite would still be the 20. لأنه you would move the 20 برضه to the other side. فاهم حاجة؟ يعني هي صح.
Yeah, I get it.
Perfect. I have to run يا حبايبي. I'm sorry. Thank you. I hope this was useful. I'll برضه upload the notes as usual. We'll record.